Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stronger Community Select Committee meeting. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of April, 2021, and my name is Darshan Sangha, and I shall be chairing the meeting tonight. I'd like to start off with the webcasting introduction. This virtual meeting is to be webcast. Members are reminded of the need to unmute before speaking. I'd like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet or filmed and will be capable of repeated viewing or another use by such third parties. Thereby, participating in this virtual meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for their image captured for webcasting and or training purposes. If members of the public do not wish to have their image captured, they should ensure that their video setting throughout the virtual meeting is turned off and set to the audio only. Please be aware that if technical difficulties interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, I may need to adjourn the meeting tonight. Hope that is not the case. My name is Darshan Sangha. I shall be chairing the meeting, and I have the support of my Vice Chair, Councillor Jamie McIver, as well. I'd like to welcome everybody, members of the public and the committee members as well, and all of our democratic services officers as well. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is the last of our meetings for this municipal year, 2020 to 2021. Jackie, can I ask you to, sorry, Rebecca, could you please go on to apologies for absence, please?
We have apologies from Councillor Mitchell and Councillor Plummer.
Thank you very much. Noted. And substitute members, please, Rebecca.
And we have Councillor Heap for Councillor Plummer.
Thank you very much indeed. And item number 4 is declarations of interest. Over to you, members. Anybody? None at all. Thank you. Item number 5 is terms of reference and work programme, which you will find, members, on pages 5 to 10 of your agenda. And if you care to just look at the work programme, as you can see that this is our last meeting for this municipal year, and you can see that we're going to be covering off, or should I say mopping up the last few items. That's today, that's item number 3, the quarter 4 report, and also we should also do the customer services strategy as well, and the social recovery. So if members are okay with that, I know that the new committee for next year will set out its own tasks in terms of reference and work programme for the next year, but that's just for noting. If members are okay with that? Great. I'd like to just ask members if they would consider bringing, if we could bring item number 8 forward. I believe that this is quite an important, well, all items are important, but I particularly feel that this one needs a little bit more time, and I didn't want to rush it towards the end. So if members are okay with that, can I have your agreement to move item number 8 first? Members?
Councillor Sangha, Councillor Wixley's trying to say something, or has put his hand up.
Councillor Wixley?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'm quite happy with bringing something forward. I just think reference needs to be made for the minutes or notes of the previous meeting on the 30th of March, which normally we would have those and we would approve them, but presumably because of the short time scale, they're not haven't been prepared yet. But I think perhaps the minutes should note that those are due to come and they'll have to be agreed by the new committee.
Chairman, if I could just say something. The reason I didn't put them obviously on the agenda is because they're not ready, so they will come to the next meeting, both this and the next meeting's minutes for noting and checking.
Thank you for that, Rebecca. Can I also just remind members that if you wish to participate and speak during the meeting, if you would like to use the blue raised hand, and Jackie will pick that up. Usually it would have been Councillor McIver, but I think he's in Pakistan, so there's a bit of a delay. So I didn't want to disrupt the meeting. So if you could just raise the blue hand, and I'll take people in the order that we see the hands going up. Obviously, members of the committee first, and then our other members will then follow. Okay, so we've got item number 8, overview of social recovery initiatives and projects delivered to support residents as a result of COVID-19, pages 21 to 28 of your agenda. I believe that we're going to it's Jill Wallace will take us through that report. So over to you, Jill. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Chairman. And good evening, members. My name is Jill Wallace, and I'm the Service Manager for the Community, Culture and Wellbeing area here at the District Council. To support what is quite a long narrative report in your agenda pack, I've actually put together a slide deck this evening, which I'm hoping Jackie is going to share for me by the wonders of modern science and move the slides through as I speak. You'll be pleased to know that as Jackie pulls this slide deck up, it isn't very word heavy. What I've actually done is put together a series of photographs and images to actually support some of the information that I'm going to walk you through this evening, because I do think sometimes that seeing pictures, they speak louder than words. So hopefully if that can come up in a second, Jackie, if you're able to share the screen, we'll get going in a moment. So the slides will be available, and I'll make sure that they're emailed out to everybody at the end of the evening. And obviously, we're more than happy to take questions at the end. So, as I say, I'm here this evening to talk through the initiatives and projects that have been developed and implemented this year by the Community, Culture and Wellbeing team in response directly to COVID, and all contributing to the start of the social recovery of the district. Next slide, please, Jack. So to set the scene, but not to dwell for too long, obviously in lockdown last March, we had the responsibility placed upon us as a council to mobilise a community hub. We led on that piece of work, and working with our excellent local third sector partners, we were able to pull together a support mechanism which was able to offer things like emergency prescription collection, shopping, befriending services, and so on and so forth to those people that were required to obviously be locked in. In addition to that, we did have quite a few of our residents that were classed as clinically extremely vulnerable, CEV, who needed to shield for best part of the year actually because of medical conditions. Now that number fluctuated quite a bit over the year, but at its height, we had around about 5,300 of our residents that were actually shielding. So we reached out to all of those residents, and with our partners at Essex County Council, we telephoned every single resident that were shielding to make sure that they were okay and they had the support that they needed. And in the cases where we weren't able to make contact by telephone, we actually undertook doorstep welfare checks. So we had staff driving all around the district. We actually did around 195 doorstep checks with some of our most vulnerable residents, and unsurprisingly, when staff knocked on the door to check that they were okay, what we did find was that so many of these residents were feeling very, very lonely and quite isolated. But what that opportunity gave us was to chat to residents, as well as check that they were okay and they had support that they needed. We were able to signpost them to things like local befriending schemes, to virtual clubs, special interest groups and activities, and the feedback we had from doing that was extremely positive. Next slide, please. So moving forward, having established that platform, if you like, to deal with the emergency side of things, we worked to identify what we were going to do next. And without a shadow of a doubt, having a well-established Health and Wellbeing Board here in Epping Forest, which is chaired by Councillor Anika Patel and supported by our portfolio holder, Councillor Holly Whitbread, we had a great platform from which to move forward and discuss what we were going to do as partners. We have excellent working relationships with our key stakeholders and partners in the district. So this was all incredibly, a really strong position to start from. And we discussed things, and we came up with a social recovery map. And the headliners, the themes for that, really quite simply were positive communities, positive activity, and positive mental health, I should say. Next slide, please. So I know I've captured lots of this in the report, but I really just wanted to give a flavour in picture format, really, of the types of work that we've been involved in over the last year, which have all hopefully supported that roadmap to social recovery. So community engagement. We focused on 2 of our super output areas within the district, place-based work. And we've done some very focused work in 2 wards, specifically Paternoster Ward in Waltham Abbey and Shelley Ward in Ongar. And what I would say, the work that we've done in these areas, the idea being that we were replicating this and rolling this out more widely in the district over the coming months and years. So you'll see there pictures of teams of staff that actually went and did door knocking. So the first phase with both areas was actually to do what we called doorstep conversations. We actually spoke to 339 separate households, and we really wanted to understand what residents' needs were and what would support them as they came out post-lockdown to help them feel healthier and happier and able to cope, actually. And what that research told us was that there were 4 strands to it. So it was about residents becoming more participatory in terms of activities, and that was physical activity, cultural activity, community activity. There was an identified need that we really needed to improve community cohesion and resilience within communities. We undoubtedly need to support our residents that are struggling with poor mental health. And there was something about the local environment and a particular reference on a number of occasions to tackling antisocial behaviour. So having taken that on board in these particular localities, we set about delivering a whole range of community-based activities. So we did sports on the doorstep, we did arts and crafts outside, we put together reading challenges. When we were able to come outside with residents socially distanced, we had community litter picks going on to tidy up the local estates. Fantastically, we've managed to develop community allotments in both of the areas that are completely volunteer-led now, and we've got residents aged 2 to 74 that are now actively growing things in the allotments, and we've got gardening projects underway. We did lots of measuring as part of this pilot project, and we were able to evidence, actually, using the Warwick Edinburgh Wellbeing Scale, the fact that residents felt better as a result of being engaged in that sort of activity. Something else that we did was to pilot a digital inclusion project, and you'll see a lovely picture there in the middle of Florence. Now, Florence, in the middle, Florence is 92, and Florence is a resident of one of our sheltered accommodation schemes. And you'll see behind Florence an alcove device. And we were able to give Florence this alcove device and offer a bit of support and training. It didn't take much, actually. And as a result of having that device, Florence is now able to contact her family on a regular basis, and she's told us how much that's helped ease that loneliness, and she's able to connect with her family. So I think the beaming smile on Florence's face says it all. Next slide, please. So we are very, very pleased to be able to say that we've been able to support our children and young people and their families with our digital inclusion project. Children with disabilities have been particularly impacted by COVID because of the need to shield. Very quickly, we were able to move lots of our activities online and deliver virtually straight into the homes of our children with disabilities, and they had a fabulous time doing all sorts of sports. When we've been able to bring them back into the real world socially distancing, you can see there our Own a Pony, fantastically popular scheme, and trampolining. We've actually worked with 187 families in the district with children with disabilities. We've been able to deliver our Food in the School Holidays project. This is FISH project, which is all about providing food for families who are really struggling financially. All of that work is completely externally funded to us at District Council by Essex County Council Short Break Scheme. And I'm really pleased to say that having reviewed everything we've done, we've been awarded a further £43,000 to continue that work in Epping Forest in the coming year. Another example of a project that's been externally funded is from our partners at the Clinical Commissioning Group. And they actually funded us last year to pilot a Strength and Balance falls prevention project. Now, in spite of COVID, we're still able to do this virtually. We had 106 participants take part in a 12-week programme, and this is all about building up people's core stability and balance and strength to build up their muscles so that they don't fall. They're not at risk of falling, because I think we all know that the cost of a hip replacement, for example, if someone falls, is huge. I think it's about £10,000. So this falls prevention programme has been amazing. Now, we actually call this Social Active Strong, because as well as building core stability with our residents that might need this, there's a social element to this as well. So again, people make friends with each other on the course, and it's proved phenomenally impactful. And in fact, in the report, you'll see a quote there, which hopefully will really tell you the story of one of the participants. We lead on this particular piece of work across West Essex. So we facilitate this with our partners at Harlow Council and Uttlesford Council. And having had everything that we've done over the past year reviewed, I'm really pleased to say that we've secured some more money, £91,560. So we're going to be able to carry on with that really important project into the new year. Next slide, please. Now, earlier on today, actually, I was on a meeting and Mike Goethe, who is the Director of Public Health, was speaking, and he was talking about everything to do with social recovery, health and wellbeing, and how this was actually going to underpin everything moving forward. And physical activity was right up there. So huge concerns, frankly, around obesity, the links to diabetes, etc. But more importantly, we know that by participating in physical activity, particularly group sports, the mental health benefits of this to our residents is immeasurable. And you can see some images here of the whole raft of offer that we deliver here at Epping Forest District Council. Earlier on in the year, obviously, a lot of this was happening virtually, but I'm really pleased to say that as of a couple of weeks ago, we've opened up to the world again, and the numbers booking onto these schemes have been incredible. So you can see some pictures here of our Cycling for Health scheme, of our life walks. We've got Wildcats girls football teams, and we've got a sample of one of our walking sports, which is walking football down the bottom there. In addition to that, we do athletics, we do tennis, we do our active living programs. So, some real examples there of the physical activity. We've also been able to work with children and families, and during the holidays, to encourage families out into the green space in the district, we've done our Play in the Park takeaway, and we've been delivering across 18 different locations, green spaces in the district. We've seen a total of 829 children and 358 adults, all playing outside, socially distanced, of course, but enjoying the fresh air and having a great time. Next slide, please. As well as physical activity, health and wellbeing is all around engaging people in what they enjoy doing, and culture and the arts is absolutely central to this. So again, in spite of COVID, we actually launched our first ever Epping Forest Festival of Culture on the 28th of January, and that's run through to the end of this month, actually. We've been able to offer a whole range of cultural and artistic activities to residents. We've partnered with 20 other cultural organisations to put together this fantastic offer of a programme. And it's involved things like, obviously, painting, arts and crafts. We've had photography competitions. We've had a whole series of really fantastic talks through Zoom, which have been awfully booked, fantastic stuff. You can see there some pictures of a group of ladies, and that's actually our museum movers. So that's a dance project. So we got a grant actually from Arts Council England to facilitate that of just over £20,000. And where we haven't been able to do that in real life, we put together a whole package of great dance resources which have been put online, and people have actually been doing those, and we've been logging how many hits we've had on those. I think we've had 3,476 views so far, so there's a lot of people dancing out there, so that's really good news for us. We put together arts resource packs for schools because teachers have been struggling to come up with materials to deliver via Zoom. So we've been able to help with that through Arts Council funding as well, and the Royal Opera House Bridge monies. And at the bottom there, and you would have seen it on the front page as well, you can see an image of the community collage which we put together. And you'll all remember all of the rainbow artwork that the children did locally. We've pulled all that together, and this mural is actually going to be hung in Princess Alexandra Hospital in the paediatric unit actually next month when it's safe to get in there to do it. So that's a real legacy there of the artwork that we've done and the culture that we've participated in. Next slide, please. Now, young people, I'm not going to dwell on this too much because I know that you all probably saw an overview and scrutiny last week, how fantastic Youth Council. This is absolutely my pet project, setting it up 11 years ago now, I think. So in spite of COVID, we were able to hold elections, and 25 democratically elected teenagers have come on board. They hit the ground running, surveyed their peers, and unsurprisingly, the underlying message that we've had from our local young people is that they're worried about they're struggling with their mental health. There's anxiety there in terms of their emotional health and well-being, and worrying about falling behind with schoolwork, etc., etc. So the Youth Council went to Cabinet. Cabinet gave them £3,000 to come up with a project. And what they actually have done is it's twofold. They've got a fantastic website. It's building on the original award-winning My Life website called My Life C19, where there's a huge array of resources and strategies and all sorts of things that young people can access if they're feeling wobbly and they need some support. The other part of that project is that we've developed a fantastic workshop. We've partnered with the Red Balloon Foundation on this and staff from CCW, and we're going to be delivering in all 7 of the district's secondary schools, rolling out resilience, all sorts of strategies, mindfulness, etc., to help our young people cope and move forward. We've set ourselves a target of working with 5,000 pupils on that, and I think that's good. We're going to be fine with that. So that's really good news. Next slide, please. Older people. So we haven't forgotten our older residents. Unfortunately, due to lockdown, we weren't able to deliver our normal sessions, which for those of you that know, we do a whole range of Stay Well This Winter days usually, and we also do senior safety days normally. But we weren't deterred, and the fantastic staff ran around talking to partners and pulled together some fantastic resource packs. There were 2 themes. There was the Stay Well theme, and you can see Hetty, who lives in Epping, who again, I believe is well over 80 now. I'm sure she won't mind me telling you that, with her Stay Well pack. And Karen, our member of staff there, has got a Stay Safe pack at the bottom. So we delivered through door to door just short of 2,000 packs to our residents. And again, it was all telling residents that we were thinking of them, and that the local council really did, were worried about their welfare and wanted them to stay safe. Next slide, please. Epping Forest District Museum, the jewel in our crown. So for much of last year, unfortunately, due to national guidelines, we were shut. However, we did have periods of time where we were open to the public, and staff did a fantastic job at pulling together an exhibition to celebrate our emergency services. And I mean, what better time to do that, frankly. with socially distanced measures in place, we actually saw 1,500 residents come and see that exhibition, which I think is fantastic. Complementing the actual museum service, we have our education outreach programme. And you can see at the top there, that's actually a Zoom shot of Kath, who's our education officer. And Kath has been beamed in to classrooms all over the district and beyond, and delivering education history lessons and so on and so forth into classrooms and schools. They have loved it. You can see there that our handling boxes have gone out, and you can see the children actually with a jawbone down there. And while Kath's talking, they've been able to actually handle parts of the collection. I had to check what animal that was, by the way, and I'm reliably informed that's a woolly rhino that they're handling there. So lots of stats there about how many people we've reached through that programme, but fantastic. We are, as I know members are fully aware, working really hard on an extremely exciting project, which is the Waltham Abbey Community and Cultural Hub, which will see us partner with the library next door, which you can just see in the picture there. I'm not going to talk about that too much, because in fact we're bringing a dedicated item to scrutiny in June or July, I believe, about that. But just to say that that is a huge opportunity for us, not just for the residents of Waltham Abbey, but for the district, and it will afford us a setting from which to deliver a whole range of health and wellbeing initiatives, again on that social recovery track. So we're really excited about that. We've also been partnering and working proactively with our partners in housing and property services, and I'm sure you would have heard of the More Than Bricks and Mortar project. And this is all around the council's capital regeneration projects that we've got going on all across the district. First on the list is a hugely exciting scheme in Limes Farm. Lots of community engagement around that, and I'm delighted that the CCW team are proactively involved, because all of that work clearly plays in to the broader health and wellbeing agenda and social recovery agenda. Next slide, please. We're nearly there. So you heard me mention the Health and Wellbeing Board at the beginning of the presentation. The Health and Wellbeing Board has worked with a whole range of data and insight that comes from a wide range of resources, actually. And using that data and insight, we have come up with a range of projects and initiatives moving forward, which will be delivered in the forthcoming year. These are partnership projects, but the council is very much at the forefront of driving these and monitoring these and keeping them on track. We've got 3 action groups: that's Start Well, Be Well and Age Well. And within the report, you'll get a flavour of the types of work that we're looking to deliver there. It will be no surprise to members to know that the abiding theme that straddles across all age ranges is around mental health. So we've got some really proactive ideas and initiatives coming on track around all of that. The council is heavily strategically linked in with the One Health and Care Partnership. Now that is the body that is responsible for delivering transformational plans in respect of integrated health and social care. It's a footprint that's not just west, we take in part of Hertfordshire as that as well. Sitting just below board level, I'm really pleased to be chairing actually the West Essex Health Inequalities Committee. So we're working across that west footprint to tackle health inequality, which is the name of the game moving forward. There are 4 working groups that have been established to focus on very, very specific health and equality themes, which is all in the report. But we have been heavily involved in supporting our partners in health in rolling out the vaccination programme across the district, identifying venues, keeping that going. And, we need to keep the momentum going around that. So we're doing lots of work in that arena as well. Through our involvement in the One Health and Care Partnership, we've actually been at the forefront of a key set of decisions and a spend plan actually that is looking to allocate £500,000 across West, and this is from containment, outbreak, management funding, which is coming down to us directly from Essex. So I'm really delighted to say that as of last week, our spend plan that we worked on has been signed off. So that is fabulous news. So there's some real, excellent resources and funding there that's going to support us and move us into this next phase. I talk a little bit in the report about monitoring and evaluation. I know that members are really keen on that, and absolutely rightly so. What I would say on that, it's incredibly easy for us to collect quantitative data. And qualitative data, we're not too bad at. Actually, we use storytelling, we do case studies, we try to capture images. But we are acutely aware that we need to measure impact. We've got to get that better. That's complex, it's complicated, but we're going to have a go at really trying to get better at this. And, the whole social return on investment piece we know is incredibly important. So we're going to be working with partners in our strategy, delivery and performance team this year to look at a model that is proportionate, that we can really start to adopt moving forward. Final slide, please. So really, in conclusion, everything that we've done is all about, oh, Jackie, are you able to move forward?
Sorry,
no problem. So really, in summary, I won't read what's on there, but only to say that we do use an ABCD approach, which is called asset-based community development, and this is about us placing people, communities and our residents at heart of everything that we're doing. It's place shaping, it's the council being an anchor institution and basically using a whole systems approach, to use lots of buzzwords. But to wrap everything up, really, it's just about us building, moving forward, strong, resilient, cohesive and healthy communities. And I will stop there. Really pleased to know that's the end, and more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Jill. I think that was a very comprehensive sort of a lowdown of what you've been up to. And my God, have you been busy? Can I just start off by saying that on behalf of this committee, a massive big thank you really to all of our officers and all those unsung heroes, all those volunteers, despite the pandemic, putting themselves out just to extend, to reach out to people, whether they're the elderly, the young, everybody's been affected. And the digital inclusion, I mean, wow, 80-year-old grandmothers. And I know my mom, she's nearly 80, and we had to sort of teach her about the little, how to use handheld sort of computers. But that's their window to the world. And, and you guys have been doing a phenomenal amount of work, and I can only say a massive big thank you on behalf of the committee. I mean, you're all award-winning. This council, we have to be very proud of. Some of the stuff, I mean, Karen Murray was nominated for her award, for Heroes Award, and you taking on the chairmanship for the West Essex Health Inequality and Prevention Committee. It's fantastic. Congratulations to everybody there. So all I say is thank you very much, and please continue to do what you're doing, because social recovery, the word is recovery, and we still need to do a lot more to carry on to make sure everybody is healthy and safe, and especially the mental thing as well. And also a big congratulations to our youth council as well. They came on the cabinet and they done a fantastic presentation. I'm so proud of our the youth council. They are really our future, and all the very best of luck to them. I am going to take questions. Can I invite the cabinet member, Councillor Holly Whitbread, to perhaps comment on this report? Holly?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to come in. Please accept my apologies for being off screen, having some technical issues today. I just want to say a massive congratulations really to the team for their work over the past year. I mean, when I took on communities in May, I don't think even I was aware of how much work we really do and how much added value we bring as a council. Over the past year, I've had the opportunity. I actually dropped the bags to Hetty, who's one of my near neighbours in Epping, and I gave them out to around 100 people in Epping actually, with all different kind of goodies and things to help people kind of stay well at home, elderly people, which is particularly helpful at this time. Also, I went to the Disability Inclusion Project at Lambourne End, which was really fantastic. And we really do go above and beyond, and we do such good things. I mean, the work the Youth Council have done is really fantastic. And as you said, Chairman, award winning, which was brilliant to see. And I think that key theme of mental health, which we see both of our young people and a theme going through everything, is really fantastic to see. So I think you're right. The key word really is recovery. And I think we need to keep doing more of what we're doing and really focus on the most vulnerable in our communities who need that additional support. So thank you to Jill and to the team. I think you've done a fantastic job over the past year. And I think we just need to kind of keep pushing and doing more in this really important area. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitbread, and thank you for your input as well. I would like to invite members of the committee now to speak. I believe on my list I've got Councillor Janet Whitehouse. Sorry, bear with me.
Yeah.
Jackie, could you tell me,
Yeah.
is that the right? Okay.
Yeah, you have Councillor Whitehouse, Councillor Rackham, Councillor McIver, Councillor Heath, Councillor Sherburnia, and also Councillor Patel.
Thank you. So can we have Councillor Janet Whitehouse, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I was aware of a number of these projects, and I did refer some of our residents during the lockdown to the council and to Voluntary Action Epping Forest for support, and they've done a great job. Having the presentation and having everything brought together in this report really is very impressive, and I'd like to add my congratulations and thanks to all the officers who are concerned in this, especially as so much of it is external funding. It's really fantastic. Inevitably, much of it had to be online, and that's very impressive as well. But I was speaking to an elderly lady the other day who was regretting the fact that she wasn't getting magazines and sort of written literature anymore. Obviously, so much stopped because of lockdown, because she's not online. I just hope that we'll go back to getting some of this literature and so forth for the people who are not. I'd just like to hear from Jill. Are there plans to produce leaflets again? I remember seeing one on this force prevention programme. I did pass that on to a couple of people who, could use it. So, are you proposing to produce it again in the future? Absolutely. Something that we are acutely aware of is that we do need to concentrate on more than one medium. Yes, the world is moving heavily towards social media and Instagram and Facebook and all of those, but there are a lot of people who don't engage with us in that way, can't or just prefer not to. So we will never, ever be at that point where we won't be producing that as well. We're absolutely committed to doing that for sure. And incidentally, something else we did manage to do this year through the Reading Agency, we managed to secure 600 reading boxes, and I think we've still got some of those left. It was a joint initiative with Costa Coffee, so we were able to deliver books actually out to certain residents. So I'm more than happy. I think we've still got some supplies of those left, so very conscious of that. And we've had community writers groups and things like that produced a hard copy Little Book of Hugs, which was a book of poetry that have been supported by our staff, where residents have put that together. And we gave that out through the WIs and also some of the sheltered accommodation schemes and in some localities. So we've got some hard copies of that, but we are super conscious of still having hard copy literature as well.
Thank you, Jill. I think it's important to note that everything's a little bit one step at a time, especially with people with what we're faced with at the moment. In time, like you said, everything will come back to some normality. Yeah. Okay. I'm conscious about a lot of people wish to speak. Councillor Rackham, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to start by saying, Jill, what an amazing job you and your team do. I'd also like to thank Councillor Patel and Councillor Whitbread because of the input they've had into this fantastic project. My question is, how can we as councillors get more involved in what you do? And how do you actually advertise the events and the initiatives that you have taking place at the moment? And what will change as we come out of lockdown going forward? Thanks, Jill.
Okay, so taking those one at a time, in terms of how councillors can help, it actually falls into the next question a little bit. It's word of mouth. So much about what we do is reaching out to particularly our more vulnerable residents and building up their trust and actually encouraging them to come out and get involved and be aware of what we're doing. So I see our members as huge ambassadors for everything that we do. So, please ask us questions. I would love to come here actually, and why would I not say this, to present at every single select committee about a different project so that we raise awareness with members. Actually, we're always delighted for members to come and participate and to be in part of our working groups or focus groups, and we're really willing to listen because members also have that fantastic face-to-face contact with residents. So we'd love to hear back and get feedback from members as well, if we're on the right tracks with what we're doing. I think we promote, so we actually promote via a whole range of mechanisms. Increasingly, it is through virtual means. So we use Instagram, Facebook, the council's website, the usual media, newspapers, and so on and so forth. And we are still producing printed materials as well. But a huge way that we get the message out is through residents to residents. Somebody will come along and really enjoy being part of a life walk, and they'll bring a friend. And that's great because then that builds the confidence. Sometimes the hardest thing is coming along to something for the first time. But once people have been, we usually manage to keep them, which is really good news. And I'm sorry, what was your third? What in the future? How are we moving forward? Yeah, so really driven under the umbrella of the Health and Wellbeing Board in the auspices of the Health Inequalities. Strategically, we are looking at the data all the time and what that is telling us about what we need to be doing. We're heavily plugged into Essex County Council and their data and insight team, and very closely working with the NHS. We're equally linked in with the primary care networks. So we have 2 PCNs in Epping Forest, which are the clusters of GP practices. So every GP practice has to be part of a PCN. And we're very keen to be hearing from them what their priorities are. So, for example, it could be around diabetes is a huge thing. Another thing that we know that PCNs are acutely conscious of is that people haven't perhaps been going for their regular standard health checks, cancer screening, so on and so forth. So there are big campaigns there where we can actually be thinking on our feet, well, how can we add value to this? An example is actually this week, only yesterday, through working with our partners in the CCG, a huge bus arrived in Waltham Abbey. I don't know if any of you saw it outside Tesco's in Waltham Abbey, and it was a mobile vaccination pod. It's huge. Now we are actually going to be going along as a service and be parked next to that and be signposting, talking about what we do. So we're really working in partnership there to add value to all of that. And just to say, we are looking to roll that out in other parts of the district where we haven't got static vaccination sites. So we'll be getting out to Ongar and so on and so forth, but working in partnership with others on all of that. So we're being led by partners, data, and what the residents tell us ourselves.
Thank you, Jill. I think you've got it all sorted out there. So thank you very much. You're well prepared for it. Thank you. Members, I am conscious about the time, so I'm going to move on to Simon Heath, Joe Sherbernia, Councillor Wixley, and Councillor Patel. I'm not going to be able to take any more questions, so those are the 4 people. So Councillor Heath, please.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be very brief. Absolutely outstanding report. This woman is totally in control of her brief. We should just get out of her way and let her get on with it. And I was pleased to see that the artistic side is being pushed forward. And I used to work at the Opera House, so I'm aware of the work the Bridge does. But just in case you haven't or are unaware of them, there's a company called Punch Drunk who do a lot of things with schools at the moment, and they're lots and lots of interactive stuff. And another company called Swamp Motel who do a lot of online interactive things which are good for children and probably old people as well.
I've written that down. Thank you.
Councillor Sunger, sorry, Councillor McIver wanted to speak.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm just looking at my participants, and I think his hand's been lowered. That's fine.
No.
Councillor McIver, please. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. I did have a question, but also wanted to advise you who was waiting to speak, but Jackie has done that marvellously. I was just going to ask, first of all, echo everyone's comments. Fantastic work. My question was, for some of our residents in quite rural communities who, of course, might be difficult to reach physically, what are the steps that we can potentially take going forward? So in a post-COVID world, some of those residents don't, miss out on some of the extra support that, of course, is available in the more populated areas.
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge point, Jamie. So in terms of our rural communities, we're working very hard actually to identify community champions across the whole district. We've got 18 at the moment, and they live in all sorts of areas of the district. And actually, through working with local volunteers within those communities, we're able to signpost and train those volunteers up themselves to be able to set up, for example, memory cafes or Friday fish and chip runs or things like that, and signposting to wider services. So for us, some of this is about building community capacity within the villages and the rural communities so that they're resilient themselves. But equally, we travel, we do all sorts of things through road shows. Our Playing the Part will go out to all sorts of weird and wonderful sites, and staff are out there delivering in the rural localities as well as in our 6 main towns.
Super. Thank you very much, Jill. Okay, can I move on to Councillor Bernier? But Councillor Heath, you've got your hand still up. Would you like to lower the hand for me, please? Thank you. Councillor Joe Bernier, please. Could you please unmute? Thank you.
I'd just like to, thank you very much. I'd just like to reiterate everyone's comments that the presentation was excellent. I'd like to ask if any of your services have been taken up in Buckhurst Hill. We have a large elderly population, for example, and we do have, children's groups and nurseries. Have you done any specific work in Buckhurst Hill?
Yes, we have. And in fact, the model that we rolled out in Paternoster and Shelley is based on the work that we started and implemented in Buckhurst Hill. And I have to say that was championed by Councillor Anika Patel. And we grew a number of projects and initiatives from that. And the one that springs to mind on the hoof is actually our Knit and the Natter in the Monkham's pub. So we've actually got groups of residents that meet, what they were doing when they were able to inside. I'm sure they'll be coming back and crocheting like mad once they're able to. But that was an example in Buckhurst Hill where we've actually worked and listened with the community and actually got a good group going there. And we've done flower arranging and things like that in Buckhurst Hill. We've got an excellent working relationship with Waitrose. I have to say, they've been a great sponsor for us in that area as well. So we've had lots of support. Lots more to do.
Yes, I have heard of one of those initiatives, and it's great that Waitrose are so supportive. But thank you very, very much for explaining that. It's really helpful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And well done, Councillor Patel, for your engagement there with helping out in Buckhurst Hill. Councillor Wixley, and then Councillor Patel.
Thank you, Chairman. I've just got 3 questions which I think probably just require brief answers, because there are 3 things in the report that I'm not really aware of, not heard of before. One is on page 22 of the agenda. There's reference to the Warwick Edinburgh Wellbeing Scale, and I just wondered if Jill could just give a brief explanation of exactly what that is. That there's reference to 5 points there using this scale. And then over the page, on page 23, I'm actually interested in sort of practicalities, and I just wonder if she could explain exactly what tennis activitors is. And I'm particularly interested in Wildcats girls football, and maybe Jill could even give a demonstration of that. So those are my 3 questions.
Very much.
Councillor Wixley, you're doing so well until you ask the last question. But I'll let Jill answer those very quickly. Thank you.
Okay. The Warwick Edinburgh scale is a recognised academic scale for measuring scores of well-being. So through answering a series of questions, you're able to rate how somebody is feeling and give it a score. And then the idea is then that once people have participated in whatever project it is, you revisit that same set of questions, and it actually gives you that journey travelled in terms of how improve. And in fact, that is proving impact. It's a very well recognised academic model that is used in the health and wellbeing world. I won't expand, but I'm happy to do that outside of the meeting. But that is that. Tennis Activators, Councillor Wixley, is a street-based tennis programme, and it's all around actually introducing young people to tennis and rackets, and then we move them on to local clubs. So there's sustainability there, so they're fed into the community system. But it's a really great, easy thing to do. And actually, that was one of the first things we were able to bring back socially distanced in a safe COVID way. I won't be demonstrating the football. I know that you've in the past enjoyed our community football programmes, Councillor Wixley. Wildcats is girls' football because girls are excellent at football.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. Okay, so Councillor Patel. Annika Patel.
I did know that Councillor Brooks had her hand up as well. I'm not sure if she's a
Councillor Patel, I'm very conscious about the time. I can't see the hand up, but if it's okay, if you want to ask.
No worries at all. Thank you very much. I think all members have said that the presentation that was given by Jill Wallace this evening was extremely comprehensive. I'd just share with you something that she said to me just a few days back when we were discussing the report. And she said, I hope members will be happy with the work that we've done. And I said to her, I can tell you that they will 100% be happy with the work that you and your team have delivered upon. I think one of the things that was quite clear in the presentation was her passion for what she does, and it's that passion is shared down through her team structure into the frontline staff, so through the team managers and then to the staff that actually deliver the services that we provide. And that was evident right through the COVID lockdown period, where her team rolled their hands up and rolled their sleeves up and got together and did what our residents needed, which was to support them. And then a lot of the work that's carried out within her surface area is non-statutory and run on very limited budgets. So again, it's testament to the work that's achieved. Just in terms of so I became councillor 6 years ago and joined the Health and Wellbeing Board about 5 years ago. And even in that short period of time, it's been really interesting to see how the team have evolved moving forward. Because back then, we sort of worked in isolation from the health partners. They had their projects that they worked on, that they were delivering upon, and we were the district council. Now we are firmly at the forefront of that, and a lot of the good work that Julie Chandler put in previously, and which has now been taken on by Jen in her role now as well, by linking the communities and housing teams together and leading on the social recovery piece, is absolutely instrumental in doing what residents need and to make our services more efficient. But what's been great as well is that as health partners have seen the work that we've delivered, they're starting to back us now financially and are putting money our way, and that is giving our residents even better outcomes than what we were achieving previously. Jules mentioned the prevention agenda that was being led by the CCG previously. We took on board one aspect of that, which was falls prevention. And we're given some money to try to lead on that, and we've again delivered some very good outcomes. And you see, looking at outcomes, it's very difficult in health really to measure an outcome, because what is the cost to society? As Jill's mentioned, if someone requires a hip replacement, well, you know, they have a hip replacement, but then they can also suffer psychologically from that, and then the rehab back into community. And there is more than just monetary value associated with something like this. So partnership working has been one of their major strengths. But the other thing that they do really well is support community groups in seeking funding, so seeking grants, because a lot of these groups don't realise that there are grants available out there. And if contact is made, and I can mention many organisations that have come to us and explained the work that they do, and have been signposted on, and to seek funding, and again have been able to deliver more to our residents. I think Councillor Rackham mentioned how councillors can become more involved in some of the work that's being delivered. Now, I give the example of Dementia Friends, or building dementia-friendly communities. That was a project initiative that was started when I first joined the council 5-6 years ago. In fact, I supported Jill and Julie at the time in rolling that out through the district. But you see, so taking the dementia-friendly model, not just from the district, but disseminating it into the parishes, can be championed by the district councillors themselves. And it'd be great if we can be advocates for what we're delivering at a higher level, but deliver it, supporting that, delivering it at a more localised level. I think when I came on board with the Health and Wellbeing Board, I said, look, there's a lot of projects here, but let's do a project, let's learn from it, and how we can deliver it better, and then let's roll that out across the whole district. And that is what's happening. That social isolation project that's already been mentioned was essentially, Buckerstill was essentially used as a guinea pig, but we learned from that and how we can deliver it better, and then it was then rolled out into through a different hospice, but through the same sort of modelling system into Paternoster and Shelley.
Councillor Patel,
I'm just finishing, Chairman. Sorry. Just hats off to you, Jill, and your team. Please pass on all the positive comments that have come back through from this committee. Jen's taken the lead now in supporting you and really pushing the name of Epping Forest District Council further out there. And I look forward to your report this time next year to see what more we've achieved for our residents.
Thank you, Councillor Patel. I'm sorry to nod you along, it's just I'm conscious about time. It is a very, very important item on the agenda, and I have given it, I think, almost an hour here, so I'm sure you agree we need to cover other items of business for the day as well. You make some valid points, and thank you very much indeed. And Jill, yes, you know, onwards and upwards. Let's hope you come back next year to the committee with some more positives. So thank you for what you do, and onwards and upwards. Thank you very much indeed. Members, if it's okay, shall we continue with the next item on the agenda? Can we do the item number 6, customer service update? I believe, Rob Pavey, you're going to take us through that.
Okay, sorry, trouble unmuting myself. Yes, thank you, Chairman. Susan Lewis was the author of this report, and unfortunately, she's unable to be with us this evening. So I'll be taking this report on her behalf. She's asked me to highlight a few things that she thought you'd be particularly interested in. First of all, the customer satisfaction rate has shown a steady increase through the year, not quite achieving the 80% target, but obviously appreciate it in very challenging times. A couple of items there that residents and feedback, particularly from website, that we need to improve on, such as particularly around travel and obviously the growing influence of electric vehicles, and obviously the increased interest in that. So we're looking to upgrade our resources in terms of that. And members will also be pleased that a lot of residents are asking us about the elections at the moment, so there's a clear interest out there in relation to this. The first point resolution dipped slightly in quarter 4. This was probably due to the huge volume of work within revenues and benefits, and the need to use some customer service staff to field those initial contacts to deal with that, particularly around grants and business grants and things like that, while not unfortunately having the whole story for residents. So that was a short-term blip there that should not then transcend into Q1 of this year. But you'll see that through the year, later on in the report, it does show that the first point resolution for customers has increased during the year from 38% the previous year to 40% this year. So we are on the direction of travel is good with that. Complaints, this percentage is the amount of complaints that were dealt with within the time within the service level agreement we have, and that dipped slightly again in Q4. Again, I think that was largely due to disgruntled business owners who, for being outside the relevant schemes, had not qualified for the grants available. So we did have a spike in that, and it was time taken to deal with that in amongst the actual awarding of grants. That was the primary reason, I believe, for that slight dip there. The good thing is, and this is a good sign on how we are going forward, is the increasing number of customers are choosing to self-serve. It's shown a decrease of number of calls for this year, and along with that and that self-serve option that people are taking up, the average call waiting time is down to 1 minute and 2 seconds, which was I don't have last year's, but I know that is a fair decrease on that figure in the previous year. We have had a increase in calls in Q4, as you will see, but which would have relating to some Qualis related stuff. So we are looking around processes around that, so we can make that a bit sweeter for residents, so they get through to the person directly in the right organisation, as it were. One of the big things that we achieved during lockdown was the way customers contacted us on the contact us email. That was unstructured, and therefore it needed a customer service officer in the middle to then pass that on to the relevant person. Now we've got a structured form in place now that people can self-serve themselves, get it to the right person. So we've seen email traffic. If you take that figure when it came in December, the difference in the middleman, if you like, is last year had to deal with 4,000 emails. It's only 258. So it's a better experience for the customers. It gets to the point of resolution for them a lot quicker than being held up in customer services. So that was again saving the resource as well there in relation to that. Average waiting time for call reduction, or the longest call, sorry, was last year was 11.31 minutes. Now, averaging across the longest calls have been 4 minutes 36 on average over the past year, the call waiting time. So again, that's showing a direction of travel that's positive. Going further down, what's coming up, I think, is in Q1. The report shows our main focus for the year coming up. We still have a gaps in our management structure within the team, which we are resolving as we speak. So this will impact a little bit in Q1. But what we are doing within customer services, obviously supporting the new Welcome Lounge and Partnership Hub within the new civic offices, and working with Community Hub partners. I'll speak a little bit more about that in the next report. And there's a new visitor management system will be in there, reopening, which will enable customers to self-check and alert officers to their arrival. Again, it'll be much slicker arrangement for people visiting the building. Moving further down, we've been able to open the Broadway cash office, which is completely COVID secure, and obviously that's enabled customers in that area to pay by cash. We've also supported the work around census. There's been some work in the background supporting the VAF to identify venues to host drop-in centres, and being involved in that project as well. There's also been work further down, and I know Councillor Kane's on the call, working with members to improve their experience with the technological solution around that, and it's still a work in progress. We we tried to get a new members contact form up and running. We don't think that's entirely fit for purpose at the moment, so we'll go back and revisiting that. But we are keen to hear members' experiences around that, so that will teach us going forward and to solutions that you want to have to enable you to engage digitally. We're reviewing the members' induction process to look at how equipment's issued and returned. Because obviously, bear in mind elections coming up, and obviously that will be resolved in the very near future. I think they're the highlights that Susan Lewis wanted to bring out. So I'm happy to take any questions in relation to the report.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for the report, and thank you to Susan Lewis as well for putting the report together. I have a question, or more of an observation, really, in your report, in this report. Obviously, I think you mentioned the number of emails, how we were being contacted before, with 4,365 emails between December 2019 to February 2020, and that's dropped drastically down to 258 emails. I think, could that be because people now understand that a lot of our officers are working from home, like they are also, many people are also working from home, so they realize that getting a fast response through email is better than
I think the context of that, those figures, Chair, is what it is the all contact us emails. You're on the website, you get contacts, and they used to go into an email box within customer services that then had to be trawled through, decide which person it was due to go to, and then another manual process taking that forward. Now, what's happened now is at the front end for the customer, they get the form which structures their request email in terms of where it's directed to. So what happens is the customer service team don't deal with that anymore, apart from the number left. So that goes straight to the officer, whether it be in planning or whatever. So it should be a faster turnaround process for the customer in terms of getting there, and it makes sure that it gets to the team that's dealing with it quicker. So it's more of it's an administrative efficiency that we've achieved within customer team, which enables them to concentrate on other things, of course.
Thank you. And just follow the other thing is, you said your waiting time has come from 11 and a half minutes down to 4.5 minutes. I mean, 4.5 minutes is an awful long time to wait. I feel there's more work to be done.
That's the longest waiting time that someone's been on the phone for in a particularly big period. So the average waiting time, I think, was 1.2 minutes. Was it? I saw in the report. I think that's the average waiting time at peak periods, obviously.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob. Okay, I've got Councillor Rackham, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rob, for that report. Very interesting. I'd just like to say that I've been on the phone a couple of times to the council, and I was very, very impressed. The staff were lovely. They answered my questions. They answered in good time. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised. So well done. If you could pass that back to the team, I would be more than grateful.
Pleased to hear it. Thank you.
My question is about electric vehicles, which is something I'm obviously very keen on, the environment. I did go on this zapmap.com site today, and I only found 5 sites where you could charge an electric car. So obviously the way forward is to install public charges in people's roads, I would imagine. And I can see that there is a pilot that you're working on, but could you give us some more details on that, please, going forward? Thank you, Rob.
The transport strategy, unfortunately, Councillor Rackham, doesn't fall under my jurisdiction.
No,
I'm just reporting really on what was found from that. I will ask my colleague who is looking at that area to contact you in relation to plans around that. I can ask him to do that for you. Okay.
Thank you, Rob. Councillor Whitley, please, and then Councillor Rose Brooks. Thank you. Councillor Whitley.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I've got, I think, 3 points really. I'm also interested in the reference to electric vehicle charging in particular, because it's a reference to Loughton. I don't know if Rob could give a bit more information on that, but it is a question that I've been asked about from a resident who's anxious to have on-street charging facilities. over the page, like the chairman, I was a bit confused about the longest wait time. I don't think that has been written very clearly, because it refers to 11.31 minutes and then 4.36 minutes, and then it refers to that as being on average. But I think that you've explained now that 4.36 was the highest wait, which I guess is a vast improvement on 11.31. But I think the report could have been written better in that respect. While I'm on the subject of phones, I don't know if this comes under Susan Lewis's department or one of her responsibilities, but I do experience problems when phoning officers. I've had cases where I've left voicemails which haven't been returned, and sometimes you can't even leave a voicemail message. So I don't know if we've got some internal problems with the phones which need to be resolved. And my other point or question is on page 13. There's a reference to customer strategy. And then just below the list of bullet points, it says, note, resourcing is still an issue. Now, is that human resourcing? Aren't there enough staff? What exactly does that mean?
Along the EV charging point, again, I will ask my colleague to contact you, Councillor Wixley, and maybe something we need to look at broadly with members, updating them on where we are with EVs. But I'll speak to the officer concerned in relation to that. In relation to the, what was the second point? Sorry, Councillor Wixley.
Just making the point that I was confused, as the chairman was, regarding the.
Oh yes, yeah.
The longest wait times. I just felt that wasn't very well.
Okay, well hopefully I've helped
I
explain that. Yeah.
I did refer to if there's some internal problems with the phones, because I've experienced that when phoning officers.
I think what the ideal scenario is if you contact the customer service team, they log your call and then monitor that for you, so they ensure you get a call back. So that this is what we're trying to make the member contact form particularly easy, better for people to use, and easier for a process there. Obviously, if you're phoning an officer, they should be calling you back. But obviously, ideally, we want to route these through the customer team to help you, because I understand it has been an issue in the past.
Well, can I just come back on that? I mean, very often it's a straightforward question, and if you can't even leave a voicemail message, or if you leave one, you don't get a reply, there's something wrong there. I mean, I'm going to actually, Jennifer Gould is here tonight. I hope she's still here. I can see her. And I phoned her a couple of days ago. She eventually got back to me. And I'd just like to pay tribute, because I've got excellent service since Jennifer phoned me this morning. And so I'll just make that point.
Okay, if there's particular areas you're having a problem with, Councillor, so if you drop me a note with that, and I will speak to the manager of the service concerned.
Can I say, Councillor Wixley, I've reached out to some of our officers. I've never had any issues, so maybe just a one-off. Perhaps, Rob, you can look into that if there are any specific numbers that maybe, or officers that are not getting these messages.
Yeah. If Councillor Wixley, if you can email me the example that you quoted, that would be useful.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. And my third point was on the resourcing issue.
The resourcing issue related to we have a team manager vacancy there at the moment that would be directing some of this work. It's a vacancy at the moment with only 2 team managers in that customer service team. That it's kind of 50% reduction. So we're in the process of filling that. The hit is if we can't fill it, but we are hoping to in the very near future.
So it's a HR issue. So thank you.
Yeah,
thank
it's
you,
not. It's not a anything else. Yeah, money or anything.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Wixley. Can I move on to Councillor Brooks, please, then Joe Shea-Bernier, and the last one will be Councillor Janet Whitehouse. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not actually a member of the committee, so I think there are other.
Sorry. In which case, can I ask Joe Shea-Bernier if she has any objection if Councillor Brooks takes the next?
No, but I actually didn't put a question forward, Chair.
Okay, could you lower your hand then, please? Yeah, the blue hand.
I don't think I put it up. Might be from the last question.
So Councillor Whitehouse and then Councillor Brooks. That's the right way around. Is that right?
Chairman, I just wanted to follow up on what Councillor Wixie has said, because I have been through the contact centre, and they have forwarded my, I've asked to speak to a particular person, they forward me to them, and I've had problems either not being able to leave a message on the voicemail or leaving a message and people not coming back. And I got the impression that for staff working at home, that if messages are left on the answer phone, they can't always pick them up easily. I don't know what the sort of background is. I just wanted to say that, it isn't a one-off for Councillor Wixley. I've had similar experiences, but I couldn't tell you who they were now. It's some,
Okay. Yeah, there should be no difference really. Staff are working from home and they got the same facilities at home as they have in the office. So that's it's a breakdown somewhere, which is obviously without knowing where those are. I will take it back to the team and see if they're experiencing any problems with with them trying to get officers ringing them back, if you know what I mean. So I may be able to follow up some to see if there's any pinch points in service.
Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate that. If you could do that, 2 members have raised it, so we need to get that looked into. Right, Councillor Brooks, and then I'm going to invite the portfolio holder, Councillor Sam Kane. Members, I will then need to move on to the next item. So, Councillor Brooks, please.
Right. Thank you very much. Super report. Just a couple of things, really, if you don't mind. Just the area that comes up most with residents for people that they come to us as members to chase up is when they've not had replies to their planning enforcement forms. There just seems to me, and then we get involved as members, and it's still often, if people want to make complaints, I think that's still an area, whether because we're still short of officers doing planning enforcement, I'm not sure. But that's one area that I feel we could do a bit better at. Secondly, I think we're reconciled now that after our last discussion that some people, for all sorts of reasons, want to pay cash. And I just wondered, since the Broadway office it's only just reopened, hasn't it? But it would be good to know. I was utterly staggered how much cash they'd taken when you reported back to us last time. But could we perhaps know at the next meeting, is it dropping off? Because I know you've tried hard, but perhaps in the next report you could tell us if it is dropping a bit. And thank you to Mrs. Lewis.
Yeah, cash collection is dropping off. We know we have some areas in the district where it's still a key feature for customers, but obviously we'll continue looking at how we collect cash. I think we'll always need to have a cash presence as for the Silby future, certainly, but it's how we do that we may need to look at. But yes, I will certainly can provide some figures for how much cash has been collected in relation to the Broadway office. I could put something in the members' bulletin for if members would be like it provided that way and a bit quicker.
Thank you. That'd be very useful, I think. Thank you very much for your question there, Councillor Brooks. Councillor Sam Kane, our portfolio holder for this committee. Councillor Sam Kane.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll keep it brief. I want to take the opportunity, of course, to thank the members of my team for getting through a particularly awkward 12 months. It's been difficult for everyone, COVID, but we have to remember that the customer services function is effectively the shop window of the council, and they take the brunt of pretty much any upset within the district. They're getting it in the neck first before we do. So we have to bear that in mind. They've coped with the changes very well. COVID has accelerated the move to different forms of communication, the channel shift that we talk about. It was always planned, but not quite this fast. So some of the procedures that have been put in place are being fine-tuned on the hoof, which has led to some upsets along the way, but we're getting there slowly. but we are getting there faster than we anticipated thanks to COVID. So that channel shift will serve us well going forward, because the number of calls coming down, the number of emails being reduced, the ability for residents to self-serve through the website and get to the answers or the actions they need quicker, which is really what it's all about. I just wanted to pick up on Councillor Wixley's and Councillor Whitehouse comments about the phone service. Yes, there is an ongoing investigation looking at the current phone system and how we can either update or replace it to better integrate with our new IT systems. So that's not going to happen immediately, but it is something that is being actively looked at. And I think that's the only real comments I've got to make. So thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kane. And I totally agree with what your comments are. We are going through a very difficult phase, and people are stuck at home. There's a lot of, anxiety, a lot of frustration as well. So our officers do get the full brunt of it. And so, I just want to say thank you to our officers, and we are moving in the right direction. So we just need to continue to support our officers where they need that support as members as well. So I don't think there's anybody else wishing to speak. So therefore, can I thank Susan Lewis for this report, and for you, Rob, for taking it through as well. And thank you to all the members for raising the question. So if it's okay, can I move on to item number 7, Universal Credit Impact Update, establishment of the Epping Community Hub, pages 17 to 20. I believe, Rob, you're going to be doing this again?
I'm indeed. Thank you, Chair.
Go for it.
Yeah, your members may recall that from this committee that the outcomes from the Universal Credit Impact Working Group was to establish a hub in Waltham Abbey, which was run fortnightly, and barely a chance did it have to take off, and we were curtailed by COVID. So similar principles will apply to the Epping Community Hub. Cabinet agreed the establishment of a hub at the civic offices in last year. But the challenge for the hub this time is clearly a much wider agenda. Picking up on the earlier presentation by Jill Wallace, there's some the issues facing our residents are of a different gravity, I think, this year clearly are, and well-being is clearly going to form part of this, as well as the previous thrust of the Universal Credit Impact Working Group by early intervention with people struggling with debt and with homelessness and things like that. So early prevention was seen as the best way to go about that. So the Epping Community Hub itself, its work is well apace on this. The vision for the hub is laid out there. It's a new way of dealing with customers at the civic offices, particularly because before we were in a world of kind of signposting, and we used to tell people where they could get help. Now, the vision for the hub is to bring the services together for the individual. So people in need, various needs or various opportunities that services have can be delivered together to the individual at the same time. So obviously that is better experience for the customer, and you can get particularly got some families with complex needs, particularly who may need a number of agencies to deal with, and people in debt may need a number of agencies to deal with. So we bring together partners, internal partners, our own services, with external partners, and the range of external partners we're now dealing with and are talking to us in relation to the Epping Community Hub is ever growing. It's really encouraging, and the ones we are dealing with are really enthused. They can see the value in it, and I've listed a number there, but the next time you see a list like that, I wouldn't be surprised if it's even longer. But so, and what we want to do, how we're managing it at the moment is the physical creation of the hubs is largely there. There's some little bits and pieces we want to do before we open. But the main important thing is we've been engaged with partners through a steering group, and so there's representation of all the partners and the key internal services. And we had a meeting back in April, and we had a second meeting yesterday, which was really energetic. A lot of ideas out there. lot of issues raised about things we need to think about and sort out, which is the key idea. And everyone's coming from their different angle on it. So everyone's got different experiences with hub working, so it's a really useful way to that collegiate approach to bring ideas and sort this out together. And our next one's planned for 2-3 weeks' time, where we're going to start formalising even further some of the arrangements that we're going to have in place. So we're looking at the moment, we're looking at customer journeys and looking around who will be in the hub at the same time. So there's different scenarios and different elements of the hub partners who are best placed to deal with things, and we've got to make sure that the right partners are in the hub at the same time, because not all these partners will be in the hub full time. Some may just drop in when there's certain people they need to see. Some will be there for all day for a certain number of days, and others will have different arrangements. So it's a really flexible thing that we'll have with particularly those voluntary sector partners to engage with them and bring things together. So I think that what's important to say is this is joint working and not signposting. We're hoping it's going to look and feel very different for our residents who come and see us. Well, obviously, what we do is we're hoping to promote independence and not dependence. By that I mean there's going to be employment skills work involved. There'll be digital skills work. So it's enabling people to recover, as say, socially. It could be around employment, because we are expecting a spike in unemployment when furlough ends and an increased demand on our services. So that's how we're going to hopefully deliver a better service across the piece. And again, what we want to do is reach out to the local community once we're up and running. They have a customer representative on the steering group, so we can the work going forward can be informed by what the local community needs, so rather than what we think they need. So that's going to be a key plank of future work. There's 3 strands really to the offer in the hub. The first one is the more traditional element you might expect of what we should be providing. So there'll be general advice and digital support. There'll be benefits, housing, homelessness, bills, payments, and debt. And at the moment, it says library registration service. Now, there's a bit of an asterisk on that one because it hasn't been confirmed yet. They actually will co-locate with us. But the intention of the library is to join in with us in the hub's activity, whether they co-locate or not. So we're still waiting for a final decision on that at the moment. But within all those core offers, there's going to be a range of partners supporting with internal services each of those themes there. And the second one really is your support and guidance. This really partly brings you to what Jill Wallace was saying earlier. There'll be wellbeing partners coming in and health partners and things. So there'll be a range of organisations and community groups who can come in and work within the hub. And it's important to see the hub, I think, as the whole of the ground floor of the building, not just the horseshoe shape where the main seated area will be. So we will utilise the space flexibly so we can maximise its benefit. And again, the community space and activity is going to be is looking at the hub as a whole ground floor, so it connects as that community hub environment, and they're truly seen as a community asset. So there's 3 core offers. The core offer advice, which I said, is the access to the range of support and guidance, which will be there for around health and wellbeing. And you saw in Jill's presentation, there's a lot of scope there to integrate with this with the community hub. So the next steps in the implementation of the hub is to open around the 21st of June. Also, we are dependent on COVID-19 restrictions. So we discussed that yesterday and at the meeting, and we are developing a work programme which will be able for people to see, and there'll be events planned during the year as well as the core BAU of the hub work. One event I'd like to tell you about, if Jill doesn't mind, is on the 19th of July. There's going to be a big showcase event for the community wellbeing team to showcase all the work they're doing, and we've asked partners to get involved with that as well. And so that will run from 2 till 8 on that day. So we will be looking forward to promoting the work of the community team, wellbeing team at that time. It's just an example of how we can use that space to maximum benefit for the community. But there will be other events. I think it was agreed yesterday we look around the National Awareness Week, and there'll be themed events, themed days. So this is really exciting opportunity for us to deliver a real community asset for our local area, and incredibly excited to be part of it.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, thank you for your report. It's certainly very interesting times ahead, especially after everybody's been in lockdown, being, staying at home, to get out there and to get into this hub and to get to meet these external partners. Very exciting indeed. I can see that there's a list of people, and you said that list will increase by the next report.
I think so, because obviously it's going to be an evolving process. We're going to transition into this, and I think we'll see more opportunity as time goes by.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you for that report. Got members, got Councillor Janet Whitehouse, and then Councillor Heath, and then Councillor Stephen Murray. So Councillor Janet Whitehouse, please.
Thank you. I need to declare an interest first as a trustee of Epping Forest Reuse, because I was going to say that I went to the first meeting of the Waltham Abbey Hub representing Epping Forest Reuse, and as we were waiting, three of us were talking about the difficulty of having staff available at the frequency at which the Waltham Abbey Hub was due to meet. So I was interested to hear you say, Rob, that not all the organisations will be at the hub all the time. I'm trying to get my head around how this is actually going to work, because I thought the idea was that a resident just called in and there might be any problem, and it might be something the voluntary organisations or the council would respond to. If there aren't people there sort of regularly, the person might need a service which just doesn't have to be there that day. So I don't quite understand how that works. And how are organisations like Epping Forest Reuse, which couldn't have someone there, but who provides a very important service to people in need, going to sort of be highlighted? The benefits council officers and the housing officers hold our vouchers so that people can get furniture free, but I just can't quite get my head around how this is going to work in practice. Could you just say a bit more about how the hub's going to work?
I think, there won't be one size that fits all with this. What it's going to be is, because what will happen is where we are aware of a particular individual, family, or that is in need of help, in that scenario, we may well invite them in, and we'll arrange at a certain time where we know we've got all the right agencies in place. So that's kind of where some of the and there will be days particularly where we align services for certain problems, whether that be homelessness, whether that be debt, and that we'll align. I think that's the way it's going to work, and that we'll almost have thematic days based around issues, because we couldn't accommodate 20 partners in the civic offices. So it's going to be, if I was to be brutally honest, we will learn how this is going to work. We think we know where we're going. This is why we're doing a lot of work planning at the moment in terms of, so we're aligning our services and the right services together to meet particular issues. So the homelessness team, early intervention, things like that, will make sure the right services in the right place, particularly if they've got a particular family coming in with particular needs. So that's and we'll arrange the right agencies wrapped around that individual or family at the right time.
Absolutely, thank you for that.
And the other, there's another point, Mr. Councillor, is Epping Reuse. Yeah, so we're happy for you to be part of Epping Reuse, to be part of the hub. I mean, obviously we can have details for your organisation that we can utilise as part of the hub. It's open. We can work something out with you, definitely, in relation to that, and we can have a conversation about how we can integrate that, so you can kind of have a virtual presence there all the time, even if you're not physically there.
Thank you, Rob. Councillor Simon Heath, please.
Thank you. Well, Councillor Whitehouse has said some of it. I think essentially it's the policy is sorted and it's a practical problem, and the officer sounds like he's on top of that, and it's just simply a logistical, pragmatic problem of trying to sort out all of these things, and it'll roll along nicely. My only two things, and it's a really personal thing: they're residents, not customers, and it's complicated, not complex.
Noted. I think we've been down this path before. Rob, do you want to just quickly come in?
No, I'll take Councillor Heap's comments on board.
Absolutely, they are residents. Councillor Stephen Murray, you're very quiet this evening, so it's over to you, sir.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Chairman. I've emailed Jill Wallace my comment about her presentation, which I thought was excellent. Yeah, I need to just declare a non-prejudicial interest because I'm a trustee of the Citizens Advice Bureau and I'm a volunteer at the food bank. The reason I wanted to speak is I've followed this carefully for Waltham Abbey and I followed this carefully for Epping, and I realise Epping will act as a focus for some of our more rural areas as well. I just want to make a really strong plea that this model is rolled out as soon as possible, and I would have thought within 2 years is a reasonable time frame to the Loughton area. And I'm not just saying that, Chairman, as a Loughton councillor. I've got 3 very good reasons, which I think members would all be able to identify with why this model, if it's good for Waltham Abbey, it's good for Epping and that part of the rural area that's nearer to Epping, why it's reasonable to expect to roll out in the Loughton area. First reason, and they're not in any order of merit, Loughton is by far the largest community in our district, and we are distinct communities. That's one of the that's just the makeup of Epping Forest, really. Distinct communities, relatively poor public transport links between each community. We are by far the largest community. Last time I looked, I think we were about double the size of Waltham Abbey and treble the size of Epping in terms of population. Perhaps more importantly, we have got 3 of the wards in the district that have the highest social indices of poverty, Alderton, Fairmead and Broadway. You look at any of the census statistics and they're not the highest, but they are 3 wards that are certainly in terms of social indices rather poor. And the other key issue about a hub and making it work is, as Leader of Council has correctly identified and now supported, we have a Debden Library that is very clearly on the wrong side of a very, very busy road called Rectory Lane, which I think most of us know. So a community hub on the Broadway where we are the landlord as well. So all the benefits that brings would be wonderful news. And I would have thought a time frame of 18 months, so that's already gone down by 6 months in the space of 3 minutes. I would have thought a time frame of 18 months, Chairman, to have this rolled out on the Debden Broadway is not unreasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Rob, would you like to come on that? Can you do anything to fast forward things? I'm sure that it's a request by a member there, but I'm not sure if that's going to be.
But I think options are being looked at the moment for Debden Library, and I think if I had to form a discussion, we have thought about the possibility of doing that. I can't commit to any timeframes around that, but yeah, I think that the principle holds. I think yeah.
It is work in progress, Councillor Murray. So thank you very much indeed, Mr. Pavey, for your report, and hopefully you'll come back to us at some point to the committee with another progress report in the next municipal year. Thank you very much indeed. Members, we have no other member wishing to speak. We are coming to the end of our meeting. Item number 9 is dates of future meetings. I'm sure this will be on the 15th of June 2021 when there will be a new committee, I'm sure, and obviously that will then be the work program will be on that, discussed on that meeting. But can I take this opportunity while we conclude our last meeting for this municipal year 2020 to 2021, to thank all of our democratic services officers and our lead officers as well for all of their contribution, hard work, for putting together the reports on time and presenting them to the committee. And also the visitors that have come along, people that have done the presentations during the course of the year, the cabinet members as well for their contribution as well. But more importantly, can I thank the Vice Chairman, and on behalf of myself and the Vice Chairman, can I thank each and every person, each and every member of this committee for your valuable contributions, because that's what it's all about, is making sure we all work together for a stronger community select committee. That's what it's about. And
sorry,
thank you very much.
Can I just give a word of thanks to our chair, who I think has been absolutely brilliant this year. Thank you, Councillor Sunga. You've been a very, very good chairman, very fair and very good. Thank you. Thank you for chairing these meetings.
Thank you very much.
And to our vice chair as well. This was very good too.
Thank you very much, guys. You've done a fantastic job, and God bless and have a safe evening.